Hi everyone. Thank you very much for having me, and it's really, really good to be here in my hometown of Manchester, where I can say Telegraph and be totally proud of my flat 8. It's awesome. So I am Director of Products at the Telegraph, and as Vanessa said, I'm going to be talking to you about building for the future, and it's tough, it's really tough, and it's challenging, and I feel really small now that I'm standing behind this podium. I'm going to come out of it. It's tough and it's challenging, but when you get it right and you persevere and you keep changing your approach and until you finally find something that works and you hit on something, then the rewards are really, really awesome. So the Telegraph started life in 1855 as the Telegraph and Courier, and it was just 4 pages long and it cost 2p. 140 years later, almost 140 years later, we were the first UK newspaper actually to launch a digital edition, the Electronic Telegraph. And as you can see, digital design was at the forefront of our minds when we launched that. Isn't it a thing of beauty? But if you look closely, you can already see the MP's expenses story just starting to bubble away there. That was our big scoop a few years ago. If you could imagine those guys in 1994 thinking ahead to the absolute technology revolution which was about to hit, but when they put that newspaper online as the Electronic Telegraph, just 25 years later, this is the spectrum that we're looking at the very same business. So we talk to people from, it says 15 here, but it's actually age 11. In preparation for today, I went down to the newsroom because I wanted to give you a bit of a wow factor on just how amazing our newsroom is. We publish, on average, 225 articles, and they are a mixture of everything from stories and insight. All 225 appear on the Live app, which is our smartphone app, and on Apple News. They're all tweeted. We do 100 posts on Facebook, 10 Facebook videos, 14 snaps for Snapchat, 6 posts on Instagram plus 1 daily Instagram story, 3 posts on LinkedIn, up to 10 notifications across both the Live app and Apple News, 2 newsletters, a full edition app, 2 podcasts including a 5x5 briefing, and a 32-page newspaper every single day. I have to have a drink of water because that is outrageous. One of the challenges with that amount of output on that many different platforms, talking to that huge, really big age group, is to try and keep the experience consistent no matter what platform you're on. So if you're listening to a story in the morning on the flash briefing on your Alexa, and then you go and pick up your smartphone on the way to work, you want that to feel consistent. But getting that right, getting that tone of interaction right on the Alexa and putting that story across in the Telegraph voice is actually really tricky when there's no words to see and no pictures. It's harder than it sounds, but if you get it right, there's awesome rewards to have. So as the Telegraph, with that reach, we reached 27.2 million people. That's 52% of the population. And perhaps one of the most surprising statistics on that graph is that we actually talk to 74% of 15 to 24-year-olds. A third-party product to us used to be almost a syndication relationship. So we would go on Facebook and we go on Apple News and we go on Snapchat and we sort of just send our content away, knowing that we were never going to get any information back from these people. We were never going to get to know who our users were or get any granularity on the data. And probably we were never going to get any money really back or any traffic. But these guys have now come to the table in their own right. So I would get a phone call to get out of bed if something goes bust on one of these guys. And it can be anything from driving a really strong pipeline of subscriptions to our news brand, to being a super engaged audience that come back every single day, to being a place where we can experiment with communities before we actually put them on our website and our mobile apps, and like Facebook is, it's brilliant for building that up. So they each have value in their own right, and that has only really become apparent over the past year of being on them, committing to be on them, try everything, work hard, do different formats, take advantage of all the different features that they are releasing on what feels like a daily basis sometimes. Again, the challenge with these third-party platforms is, I don't know if you guys have ever read, maybe this morning, maybe we do a show of hands. So has anyone clicked through from a notification on your phone, read an article off social media, or read an article on Apple News this morning? And how many of you, hand on heart, could say exactly, excluding your own news brand, could say exactly what news brand it was that you consumed? Not that many. 34% of people who had read something could not recall. They could recall the article and what it was about and what was interesting about it, and some people even shared it and they had no idea what news brand it was. And that's maddening for us because we have all these super engaged people who actually don't know that they love the Telegraph. So that's our challenge. And To actually overcome that challenge, it's finding crafty ways to try and weave our brand throughout the content and actually being proud of our masthead and just staying true to our core values no matter what platform we're on. Part of this, being true to our core values and making sure people know we are the Telegraph, that's part of the reason why we launched our first brand campaign in 15 years this year. I don't think anyone says it better than our editor when he sums up what this brand campaign is about, so I'm going to quote him directly because you will see why. Life is changing faster than at any time since the Daily Telegraph was founded in 1855. Today's brilliant Telegraph reporters cut through the white noise, the incoherent, krill-like verbiage, and present a coherent picture when everyone in the world seems to talk across each other. Words chosen well bring people together and leave them free to continue political discussion. It's a power we intend to use responsibly. I am so pleased to say that, like these guys, we are moving from this numbers race. It's not about that anymore. It's about knowing our customers. We want them to really love us and enjoy us, and we want to be able to give them the best service possible. So we're going to be engaging them, and the only way that it's possible to engage them is by actually really getting to know them. The real strategy is about attracting, engaging, identifying, and then retaining these people and treating them like VIPs. So if someone gives us their data and someone takes the time to tell us their name and address and what they like, even if they just say, I like your sport content, that makes me feel so happy that I want to roll out the red carpet and treat them so well and make sure they get the best possible sport content for them. So just making sure that people are thinking about our users that way, thinking about them as actual customers and VIPs. Now, this is an analogy that our editor came up with to remind everybody that our content is at the heart of what we do, and writing quality, trustworthy journalism has to be front of mind always. So we're customizing better for each platform. What am I talking about for the whole of this? So I'm going to give you some examples. Keeping our Telegraph tone, but customizing for each platform and talking to a different audience. So Gojimo is my education product, and I was a bit obsessed with buying this because I felt like we really had something to say in education and we could really, really help these people. Not just with revision, which they were so single-mindedly focused on. I just want to revise, I don't need to think about my future career, I just need to get to uni and then I'll figure something out. But actually, these guys didn't know what they were going to do for a career. They didn't know if doing medicine would actually suit their personality and where they wanted to go in their future. They were just doing it because they needed to get to the next thing. So very subtly finding out what their problems were, even if they didn't think it was a problem, and finding ways to fix it through this app. So we've gamified revision for them. If they want it, if they don't, they can do straight up revision. But we're also adding content around, have you thought about your future career? What is your personality like? How do those things match together? And now, thanks to iOS 11, we have our new vertical video format on the home screen of people's phones, and we can show the adorable Harry and the popcorn video literally from your home screen, which is brilliant. And then audio. So it's been a real education working out which parts of our content work well as podcasts, and indeed how we can commercialize them. And we were really pleased to see that working with our commercial partners, they're really cool about sponsoring podcasts, and they have some really good ideas for content that we can then go and create in partnership with them. And also working with Apple, Amazon and Google on getting our content onto home devices, so flash briefings and custom skills, and actually what do people want when they're waking up in the morning and they're getting ready and they're asking for their flash briefing, what sort of tone do we want to have, what does the voice of the Telegraph sound like?
Alexa, give me my flash briefing.
The Treasury's reluctance to even mention the positives of Brexit risks Britain getting a bad deal. That's the warning from Theresa May's former Chief of Staff. Writing in today's Telegraph, Nick Timothy says Philip Hammond's department has failed to emphasise the opportunities of Brexit and accuses the Chancellor of being on manoeuvres. Mr Timothy says his former boss deserves the full support of her ministers.
So content and community, The very first instance of UGC in our very first edition in 1855 was letters to the editor. And the very first letter that we ever got and published to the editor was from a guy who earned 6p a day, and the Telegraph was 2p, and so he thought that was far too expensive. That's fair enough. The second letter that we ever got and published was from a guy campaigning for longer pub opening hours. So actually, some things never change. But now, the beauty of it is that the editorial teams could talk back. They're inviting discussion and analysis and opinion and debate from their actual readers who can reach them and talk to them. And then we're expecting them to go below the line in comments and talk back to them and start this conversation. You know, you get some good and bad, but you've got to take the rough with the smooth, because the rewards when you actually engage directly with someone who's commented on your article are so vast in terms of that person feeling like, you know, they're truly reaching your brand. In a world where everybody expects things just to be customized and you expect it just to work, we're always constantly thinking, what else can we do? What can we do next? How can we be one step ahead? So everything from being able to follow a single author or a single story to finding out what our customers absolutely love and giving it to them first. Do you want those shoes? And collaboration. So it's going to sound super cheesy, but we're talking about building for the future, and publishing is not a one-man game, and there's no single heroes in publishing, which if you love collaboration like me and Vanilla Ice do very much, then it's good, it's a good thing, it's a great thing. So you literally physically cannot do this stuff alone. You can't succeed as a one-man band, so you have to come together. And that's a core part of my role and why I love it so much, so bringing all these people from the business together to work on things like design sprints. And it's also enabled us to collaborate on things that have been super, super tough for us. So if you have a problem that you literally don't know how to solve, bring a cross-functional team in from the business, sit them down, make them think about it together as a group, non-competitively. And it's enabled us to solve some tricky commercial problems in a world where doing commercial for newspapers has never been more difficult. And I'll give you a little preview of something that we came up with just recently, working in this collaborative way.